Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. And so we're going to try to jump through. We have so much to go over. Okay, so today we're going to try to recap what has been going on in the event and where we're at, give you some updates on that, and of course, my competition. And we have 4, I think, different lore updates to go through. I have my 3 recordings from the 3 previous New Eden news from last week. And those, we're going to go through those and I'll give commentary. And then we have a new one today, but I think that I'm going to hold off on that because it's an interview and I have an idea for how to do that in a cool way. So we will skip from there to the scope video that came out today. And then we will look at some, let's see, which one's next? We also have a bunch of stuff coming out in Hobo Leaks that are for the future stuff. The expansion. We now have a lot more of an idea of how the heraldry system is going to be introduced into the game and how it's all going to work. Unfortunately, Singularity went down literally as I was supposed to go live. So if somebody notices that Singularity is back up, we can always move back over there and I can show you some of this stuff. But I do have some screenshots and can tell you about some of the stuff. I have tweeted a bunch of stuff today. Twitter.com/Ashtarothi. So if you want to just go look at the pictures, that's a good place to get it. I think there's a link somewhere in the area. If you see a little bird or down at the bottom, it says Twitter. New stuff for the faction warfare stuff. A new skin. Also, today is the beginning of Crimson Harvest. So it might be worth talking about that. Although, honestly, we might save that for tomorrow. There is actually a lot of, this Crimson Harvest is basically the same as the previous years. So we'll probably look at the reward tracks today. But as far as running sites, I think we just have too much other stuff to do. Okay. So we're going to start with looking at the videos I've produced in the last couple of weeks. Now, a while ago, or about a month or 2 ago, I made a react video to Josh Strife Hayes where we discussed whether or not EVE Online is a vertical or horizontal based game in its design. And I got in the comments kind of what I expected, which was like the classic React is the most, laziest content, try to provide something to it. And I'm just like, his video was 10 minutes. Mine was an hour and a half, or no, his video was like 20 minutes, whatever it was. Right. Like, I think it'll be fine. But, the point is that we're going to do react videos to my own video now today. So let's see if that goes any better. Is this going to work? Nope, not that one. There it is. All right, so this is Interbus CEO Hakuka Peruka dies at age 77. So these videos do go on my YouTube. So if you are on my YouTube, make sure to subscribe if you haven't. If you're in Twitch, follow the link that the bot's about to post if it's good, and we'll be good to go. Maybe not. All right. I'll just link the video we're about to watch there. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, and this is your New Eden News for October 11th, YC 124. Interbus CEO Hakuka Pakura dies at age 77. Unrelated, not directly like useful information about the lore, but as soon as I read this headline, I was like, oh god damn it, CCP. Because like Hakuka Paruka, I'm pretty sure that's how to pronounce it. Pakara. Hakuka Pakara. Ah, see? I still fuck it up. Any rate, my point is that as soon as I read it, I knew this was going to hound me, and I'm going to have to say it more than a few times in the near future. So we can all laugh at how that works out. YellowCladKing Genesis. Hakuka Pakura, CEO of Interbus Corporation, has died at the age of 77. Pakura passed away unexpectedly in the early hours of the morning. He was discovered by the staff at the estate of YellowCladKing 3. Yeah, it's Hakaka. Haukaka. Did I not even say it right? See, I don't... See, the problem is that I get it mixed up with Ace Ventura Pet Detective. You know, with the Shikaka. All right. And is believed to have suffered from a massive cardiopulmonary arrest event in his sleep. Pakura has served as the CEO of Interbus since its company's founding in YC-72. A young Concord administrator at the time, Pakura was appointed to lead the fledgling organization because of his unflinching dedication to public service. During his tenure, Interbus transportation came to be seen as an essential service by the people of New Eden. Since his passing, colleagues have been quick to praise his devotion to Interbus's core mission to provide transport services to all peoples of New Eden, regardless of nation or creed. So, Maverick Guyan, thank you for joining us down the rabbit hole of EVE Online. Interbus is an important organization in EVE Online because it really is a game design function, right? The idea is that while the empires kind of have all their own separate stuff, the Interbus functions as a completely neutral transportation service. So, for example, Interbus handles asset safety. You know, pretty much anything that involves like NPC transportation that isn't done by the empires usually will be done by Interbus. So this series of events is kind of interesting, but we'll talk about what this is for as we go through it, because while there may be some fun tinfoily here, it really is very clear what all of this is designed to set up. So let's keep going. For Pakura, this mission was often a humanitarian one. Despite resistance from within his own organization, Pakura arranged for Interbus to provide free transport to Minmatar people within Amar space following the Emancipation Proclamation of YC-1. Actually, you know what? It's worth noting. Let's actually go back one, if I can.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Is Imperial Delegate to the Conquest. Where is it? Yeah. So actually, this story kind of starts here. This is, I don't remember. This is only like I think this was a day before the previous video, or what we were just watching. Interbus future uncertain after Empire representatives walk out. Orape Genesis. An extraordinary meeting of the Interbus board ended in chaos today as representatives of all four founding interstellar empires walked out of the session at the Interbus Arcology on Orape 4. The meeting was hastily scheduled following a report that the Imperial prototype stellar transmuter built in Turner had become active, with fears that those in Egmar and Vard would soon follow. The meeting took place behind closed doors, but according to Interbus insiders, the session ended without resolution of any of the points at issue. The Empire representatives present were completely unable to agree on how New Eden's most popular transport and delivery network should respond to the alarming and divisive news from the Amar Minmatar war zone. Founded in YC-72, the Interbus Corporation is a joint venture between the Amar Empire, Caldari State, Galente Federation, and Minmatar Republic. In the past, the organization has been praised as an example of peaceful cooperation between the Big Four empires. Interbus itself is directly owned by the core empires and is overseen by a board including empire representatives. Interbus's mission is to maintain strict neutrality and impartially provide transport and delivery services essential to cluster-wide trade and economic infrastructure. Many now fear that rising tensions and the prospect of sanctions or closed borders could make it impossible for Interbus to operate those services across the empires. Interbus CEO Hakaka Pucara has responded to these fears in a post-meeting press release. Quote, "Freedom of movement and open access to commodities, products, and services are at the heart of a stable New Eden. Despite their disagreements, all 4 founding member states understand the importance of protecting these freedoms. I have no doubt that we will be able to find a mutually acceptable compromise that allows the continued operation of Interbus essential services, no matter else the future holds." End quote. With reported military buildups of Caldari and Gallente forces, increased Minmatar agitation for action, and the controversial actions of the Amar, many consider the future uncertain. According to reliable sources high in the Interbus administration, Pucara's words have done little to assuage fears that future conflict will make it impossible for the organization to operate. It seems that only time will tell what lies in store for this institution and its essential services. In other news, core empires increase availability of naval ship. I think that is panic. Nation and state rebuff. Yeah, Egmar and Vard transmuters are now on. Also, I think it's Egmar and Vard's transmuters are also now captured by the Minmatar. The Minmatar militia has now captured 2 out of the 3 transmuters, which is kind of exciting. We'll hear more about that later. All right, getting back to what we were looking at. So, let's actually look at that real quick. So, yeah, now on the second, there was that diplomatic crisis and the end, and everybody walked out of the Interbus meeting. 9 days later, the CEO of Interbus is dead of a heart attack. Perfectly fine. 10. As news of Pucara's passing spread, governments across the cluster were quick to send their respects. In a public address, Sanmatar Malatu Shakur of the Minmatar Republic said that, quote, "The people of New Eden have lost one of liberty's staunchest defenders. He will be remembered by all Matari for his devotion to equality in the face of exploitation." President Salas Agard of the Gallente Federation called Pucara an industry legend, adding that, quote, "His devotion to a more open New Eden was an inspiration," end quote. The Caldari Chief Executive Panel issued a joint statement mourning the loss of Pucara as a, quote, "steady hand in a time of rash actions," end quote. Empress Katis I's office released a more reserved statement, acknowledging Pucara as, quote, "a man of principles, who lived a life in accordance with those principles," end quote. So, oh my God, I love the Eve's writers because they are so subtle but so dead on, right? Like they really hit that actual like public discourse kind of attitude, right? So we have the Caldari, the Minmatar, and the Gallente all praising Hakaka like directly, and but if you see earlier, it points out that he was instrumental in moving the Minmatar. So the Amar don't actually like him, or at least they don't like his principles. So they are acknowledging that he is a man of principles and he lived a life according to those principles without actually saying that they like those principles. It's Kaka Pucara is survived by 3 children. The eldest, Ilmari Pucara, is also an Interbus board member and was staying on Ulai 3 with his father at the time. The family has yet to release an official statement. So, and we'll see this name come up a couple more times, Ilmari Pucara. So, while we're heading down the sus train, because, you know, a dude dying of a heart attack 9 days after there's a we'll call it disruption in understandings about the operation of Interbus. He dies of a heart attack, which is like already kind of sus. So, but like when it comes to narratives like this, every detail matters. Like they put in stuff for a reason. I mean, not like matters, but like people put in stuff for a reason. So the fact that his son was with him on board, like if you just wanted to look through this as a clues of like a whodunit, right? Like it really seems like this is kind of screaming that Ilmara Pakura was in on it and killed his father and made it look like a heart attack, right? I'm not saying that's what it is, but I mean, like, if I was going to make like a murder mystery novel, that's what it would be, right? I'm just, you know, just something to think about. Hold on a second. Because I'm having every technical difficulty in the world today. Now my headset just died. Without any warning. How's it going, Riley? So basically the deal with the Interbus thing. Actually, I think it does say that in the other world news, in other news area. Let's see. Either way, there's suggestion that the problem, the disagreement that is being had between within Interbus is that it seems like the Amar were attempting to cut off the 3 systems with the transmuters and keep the Minmatar that lived there trapped inside, and so was trying to prevent Interbus from helping in evacuating people from those systems. At least that's how I interpreted it. I'm not 100% sure if that is the specific thing, and I can't find it right now. Yeah. Panic spreads on inhabited worlds of Egmar and Vard as continued Amar control of systems blocks efforts to leave. So that implies to me that that's probably what the Interbus disagreement was about, right? And Hakaka Peruka was a big-time negotiator, and given his history, he would be on the side of the Minmatar here, right? On the side of rescuing the people. So if we just wanted to infer a conspiracy out of just these 2 videos, we could draw a pretty simple, the Amar got his son to kill his father, right? Again, not saying that's true, but I'm just saying, like, that's a good way to bundle up the information we have so far, if that makes sense. Interbus board appoints new CEO Alexander Tukasi. Oriphe Genesis. So, one thing we do know is Hakaka Peruka was Caldari, and Dukasi is a French last name. So while I found like some Khanid dudes with a Dukasi last name that might have come from a name generator, my guess is that Alexander Dukasi is Galente. I don't know if that's going to matter. With doubts rising over Interbus's future, the board has wasted no time in announcing a successor, Executive Director Alexander Dukasi. So, I'm just going to say this right now. This guy is going to be worth paying attention to. This is a new main character, okay? This guy right here. CCP's been establishing him, and as we're going to see, they're going to establish him a hell of a lot more up through the scope video. The death of Pukara and appointment of Dukasi comes as representatives of the Big Four empires have been unable to come to an accord over Interbus's operations during the present diplomatic crisis. Pukara has been seen by many as crucial to those negotiations, and with his passing, there are fears that an agreement may not. So Pukara was seen by many as crucial to these negotiations. So, and there are fears that an agreement might not be possible. So again, if Pucara is generally on the side of, like, let's rescue the refugees, then why would somebody want to disrupt that agreement?
Be possible. Despite these concerns, Ilmara Pucara has led the board in giving the new CEO a vote of confidence. A rising star in the organization, Ducasi has a reputation for innovative thinking. The new CEO is quick to honor his predecessor's legacy, saying that, quote, "No ship could have asked for a steadier captain than Hakuka Pucara. He studied the course for over 50 years. His devotion to Interbus's core principles was without question, and we will not see his like again."
So here we see that Ilmara Pucara character again. So the son, who was with the father, was on the board and gave the CEO a vote of confidence. I assume that this could mean that he was pretty instrumental in getting the board to elect Ducasi.
End quote. When asked what the future holds for Interbus, Ducasi seemed confident. Quote, "Interbus is an institution, a pillar of New Eden. Yet, New Eden is changing, and we must change with it. I see a bright, shining future for Interbus. I share a wish now with all people of New Eden, a wish that level heads will prevail, that our beloved cluster will know peace. But come what may, we will ensure that our doors remain open, that the movement of people is unrestricted, and that the free flow of new ideas remains unbarred by conflict, for now and evermore."
Okay, so that right there is actually kind of important, a little bit, right? Because, you know, this is the CEO of the company talking about his ideas about the company, and we're going to see that more as we go on. But what we're seeing here is, like I've said before, CCP is establishing new characters, both individuals, organizations, and stuff like that. And the thing about groups like AIR and now Evermore, spoilers, is that we have these powerful conglomerates that have these incredibly ambitious sci-fi kind of sounding mission statements and ideals. So the one thing that is true when it comes to all of this tinfoil is that these organizations are going to, or already are, quickly becoming sources of great power within the cluster, right? If Interbus is independent, then it is an actor on its own right. And it is the entire transportation network of the cluster. That's a lot of negotiating power.
Flow of new ideas remains unbarred by conflict, for now and evermore.
Ha ha! Evermore!
In other news,
Evermore!
Tribal Liberation Force offensive in Warzone rapidly capture Agura after recovering.
And I think, oh yeah, so at this point now, Vard was captured. And with Vard captured, there's a whole bunch of concerns because, well, there was not really an understanding of what the Minmatar were going to do with it once they got their hands on it. But we learned more about that today. So let's go on to the day after Hakaka Pucara's death. Like, comment, subscribe.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, and this is your New Eden News for October 12th, YC 124. Caldari State completes gate construction in Othanoon as rival empires race to claim technology. Caldari State Stargate construction in Othanoon completed with activation imminent.
My timing on this was terrible.
Militia forces on the Caldari State Protectorate has succeeded in providing sufficient materials to Caldari Navy construction units assembling a new Stargate in the key system of Othanoon in the heavily contested Placid region. The construction of the new Stargate in Othanoon is believed to complete a new Caldari State gate pair connecting Samanuni to the Warzone system that is the site of the struggle between the Federation and State to control Triglavian technology. Reports from the Caldari State indicate...
Hey! 07 Sigismund. Thank you. Sigismund? 07. Think of him as Puck. It's easier to remember. I don't think you understand how the brain of a dyslexic works, right? The problem is that I know how to pronounce it, but when I see it and read it wrong, I say it wrong. Does that make sense? Caldari Waitress. Thank you for joining us down the rabbit hole of Dream Online. All right, let's get to it.
Indicates that the activation of the new Stargate links is imminent and likely to be as soon as tomorrow, as Caldari forces increase their footprint in Samanuni, building infrastructure and military installations evidently intended to support a large naval force. The Gallente Federation has also accelerated its industrial development of the Amignon system, location of the Stargate that is understood to be paired with the Gallente Gate under construction in Athenoon. Chief Executive Panel Chairman Akimaka Saraki has hailed the completion of the Athenoon Stargate in under 2 weeks, under war zone conditions, as a, quote, tremendous achievement underlying the capacity of our Navy and our loyal Capsuleer militia for combining military skill with industrial experience.
So for those of you who are unaware, this news... Hey, 07.
Channel around.
Malcolm Lionel 98, thank you for that. 07 to you. 07's in chat. You get all those cool emotes. So, this news article is 100% player driven, okay? Basically, the Caldari completed the Stargate, their Stargate, and they completed it very, very quickly, right? So this is a direct reaction to the real tremendous effort that the Caldari put in to building their Stargate. And the thing I appreciate about this is that while CCP can't necessarily correct everything when it comes to like giving people the rewards that they feel that they deserve, one of the big problems was that the Caldari really took seriously the taking and holding of Athenoon and the Surthud constellation prior to the event starting, because they started saying it was important when the structure decloaked. And the Gallente just didn't really engage with that at all. They worked on other areas of the war zone while the Caldari were busy in Surthud. And then when the event started and everybody pretty much started off at the same level, there was a lot of the guys that were upset because it felt like they didn't get anything for actually holding it for the weeks or up to a month, I think it was, before. So here, this entire news article is kind of the way, maybe a consolation prize, but what CCP can do in response. And it may not seem like much now. This is the kind of thing that doesn't seem like much in the moment. But here's the thing. When someone like me starts going hunting through back information, these are the articles that we find to piece it together. So the fact that this happened is now etched in stone.
End quote. Chairman Akimaka Saraki also promoted the Caldari Navy officer leading the special projects in Placid, elevating Brigadier Haika Torigo to the rank of Executive General.
So this is also important. The Caldari won, which meant that the Caldari militia leader got promoted, right? Because the Gallente guy didn't get promoted. We'll see in a few minutes that he got pulled in front of the Senate to ask, or she, I think. Yeah, she got pulled in front of the Senate to answer questions. So, who knows what that could mean for affecting the story, right? If NPCs' careers rise and fall on player action, that can be its own way of affecting things.
General Torigo was also fulsome in her praise for the Capsuleer loyalists of the State Protectorate, noted that numerous pilots, quote, were critical to the efforts to seize and hold Athenoon, even before we embarked on the gate-building project. And these same pilots were notable in the continued effort to advance the state interest by bringing to bear military and industrial might.
See, so that paragraph right there specifically calls it out. Hey, you guys did a great job holding the sites, or holding the systems, and those same Capsuleers also were champions Yeah, they're both female. The Amarr Minmatar side are male. The Caldari Gallente side are female. So those same people that worked hard in the first phase were also integral in the second phase, which is true.
End quote. General Torigo also emphasized that the state's focus was now on acquiring the technology exposed by the conflict between the Triglavians, Edencom, and Caldari forces in Othanun and the wider Surthul constellation, but also noted that, quote, the state can still use the material resource available in the area and will continue to reward loyal industrialists for their efforts, end quote. Capture of Vard Transmuter by Minmatar forces raises concern among Concord Empires and Edencom. Vard Hematar. The recent recovery of the Vard system by the Minmatar Tribal Liberation Force has provoked alarm and concern in numerous quarters of New Eden, given the accompanied seizure by Republic fleet units of the Imperial prototype stellar transmuter located in the system. Coming as a key morale-boosting moment in a rolling 3-week offensive undertaken by the Minmatar militia forces, the capture of Vard goes beyond symbolism into a very real and damning blow against the prestige of Amarr forces in the Hematar section of the war zone. Samatar Malatu Shakur has commented on the Tribal Liberation Force for its, quote, outstanding commitment to pushing back the invaders and recovering our people and lands in the war zone, end quote. Hetman General Kenneth Filmer, while noting the success in Hematar, also pointed to the, quote, remarkable progress on Metropolis front, with our militia fighters steadily closing a pincer around the necks of the Amarr occupiers in Al-Dodan, Angils, and Tiat constellations, end quote. While the successes of the militia offenses and fleet capture of the transmuter has been greeted with jubilation by the Republic, voices in other empires have been raised in alarm at the possibility that fighting over the prototype stellar transmuters may provoke a catastrophe. Gallente Federation politicians have been divided over the development. Representatives of the Federation's Minmatar diaspora and war-torn outer regions welcome Minmatar's victories, but are countered by the more conservative senators from the core regions and the dovish elements of the Gallente political scene. Fears of stellar disaster has been raised with allusions to the Salian incident, and the more recent Triglavian invasions prominent. Support for Edencom's proposal for negotiation and neutral observer teams is strong among populations in the Essence region heartlands of the Federation. In the Amarr Empire, while expressing dismay at the loss of the facility, a number of House Kador and House Corazor holders have questioned the safety of such, quote, advanced technology in Minmatar hands, end quote. The Amarr Ministry of War has noted that the, quote, Minmatar are notorious for turning peaceful technologies of economic development into weapons of mass destruction, end quote. The Amarr's overall military governor of the war zone, Captain Marshal Zerdan Sakosh, stated that, quote, Edencom's proposal for a neutral observation team to facilitate the continued peaceful developments of this technology have some merit, given the outrageous actions of the Minmatar terror state, end quote.
God, I love the interaction of Zerkosh and specifically Kaiten Yun. We'll be seeing this more, but like Zerkosh is so good at being both evil and absolutely indignant at every moment while doing so.
Caldari state leadership has maintained a relatively inscrutable silence over the events unfolding in the Amarr Minmatar war zone, with signs of major ideological struggle developing within the chief executive panel.
So, there's been a lot of people that have like pointed to this as being like, ooh, cracks between the Caldari and the Amarr, but I honestly see this more as like, why should the Caldari stick their neck out right now? Right? Like, if they defended them on the political scene, it wouldn't actually help the Amarr at all. It would just implicate the Caldari. It's better for them to stay neutral about it, to not make any comment whatsoever, and just allow their little secret operations to undergo their course.
Even so, the official position of the state remains that, quote, exploration of stellar transmuter technology should proceed with care, and experimentation in contested regions exposes such efforts to concerning levels of risk, end quote. In other news, disturbances on Vard 7 continue as evacuation flights begin amidst riots as military occupation by fleet and RSS takes over planet. Governors and planetary assemblies raise concern with President and Senate over Federation Navy infrastructure appropriations in war zone regions. Market turmoil in cargo and passenger transport sectors following Empire deadlock over Interbus and death of Hakuka Peruka. Federation Senate Defense Committee hearing presses Vice Admiral.
So we see a lot of this market turmoil stuff, and obviously war creates market turmoil, but I do wonder what exactly they're referring to in there, because there's a part of me that suspects, or that somewhat thinks that a lot of this market stuff that we've even pointed out in our markets, things like Plex spiking and like radical shifts in different pricing and stuff like that, in our markets, is kind of being stitched in through these. 40 Winks, thank you for joining us down the rabbit hole as you online.
Admiral Farina Ravelli over naval strategy in Placid Warzone. Minmatar Ambassador Kaiten Yun dismisses Amar concerns as, quote, gross hypocrisy, and describes Edencom's proposal as, quote, repugnantly disingenuous. Interbus CEO Alexander Dukas.
So Kaiten Yun, by the way, is he is an incredibly old character, in the same way that Malatu Shakur, the Sanmatar of the Minmatar, is the only leader of the Big Four that is still in power since the Empyrean Age book. Kaiten Yun actually became the ambassador of the Minmatar during the events of the Empyrean Age book. So, in fact, what I like to point out is Kaiten Yun is the guy who coined calling us Capsuleers Empyreans. Empyrean actually means angel or dweller of heaven, because Empyrean is the highest heaven in, I think, Dante's Paradiso. But it goes... I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by chat. I might have to make it... I wanted to talk about that afterwards so that way we have things in logical blocks, but I may have to digress. But either way, Empyrean means angel, and so Kaiten Yun says, truly the Capsuleers are the Empyreans of our age. We are the angels, we are the spirits that bring them, them forward. So that's where that phrase comes from, and where the convocation of Empyreans name comes from, and the greetings, fellow Empyreans. Either way.
This is Amar concerns as, quote, gross hypocrisy, and describes Edencom's proposal as, quote, repugnantly disingenuous. Interbus CEO Alexander Ducasi indicates market fears to be allayed by, quote, forthcoming announcement on future and stability of Interbus, end quote. Mining, heavy industry, and construction markets experience spikes as core empires continue armaments and refitting programs at speed. Edencom monitors in Pochfin warn of, quote, increase in military industrial activity by all clades of the Triglavian Collective, end quote, following Capsuleer attacks. Amar occupation of Turner 1 bolstered by arrival of...
all I'll say to this one right here is, Dutch Gunner, I know you're in chat right now. Naughty, naughty Dutch Gunner. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go to my YouTube and check out the latest interview between me and Dutch Gunner. Dutch Gunner and I. Ha! Grammar's good.
Orders St. Tetramon units as nomadic mining communities evade Imperial forces. Pro-Triglavian Kybernauts and Edencom veteran Capsuleers organize rival events to mark Totality Day and Edencom recognition.
No, Dutch Gunner's an Edencom pawn. Very... More like an Edencom rook, if you really... let's give him some credit here.